Hey gang, it's Chris Angel coming at you with Chaz Wilson from Master Networks. Chaz, it's episode 6. I'm ready to go. I mean, we're talking about team building today.
Yeah, that's where it starts, right? Everything that I have of significance in my life has come through relationships and building.
Yeah.
You don't do it by yourself, right? So team building is a discipline.
Yeah, I mean, you say that we don't do it by ourselves, but I think the reality for most entrepreneurs or business owners is they're very isolated where they are, and they're either afraid to ask for help, or they don't know where to find people, or they think it's going to be too expensive. Like, break that down for me.
Well, I mean, all of those things are in some ways true.
Yeah.
If that's what you're thinking, right? If you think people are expensive, they will be.
Right.
But I've always found that when I've hired great people, brought them in, and it's not always about hiring. Right. Mm-hmm. If I'm a solopreneur, freelancer, I'm always working with other vendors, other partners, et cetera. Mm-hmm. And I need to treat that like as if I was hiring somebody, because I'm putting my name behind that. Mm-hmm. I'm referring or I'm working with them. Right.
Yeah.
But I've also found that hiring people brings more revenue. It just naturally does. It brings more expansion. It brings more energy. It brings all those things. I always find, actually, when I find that I'm getting frustrated isn't the right word, and I don't know what the right word is, but I'm anxious or whatever it is about our expansion or our growth. I look to hire. I look to expand. I look to build the team every time.
Fascinating. Wow. That is so interesting. I think I go to like ideas. I go to strategy. I go to planning, and I think it's something as I've brushed off the networking skills, because look, starting my own thing 6 years ago, working out of my home office, it's isolating, man. And I've gone to planning and not to people. But now as I'm starting to brush off the skill, right, of connecting with people, you're right. I'm finding like renewed energy, renewed vision. Totally.
Yeah. To me, the answer is always who, not what. And I think the who is what I'm always looking for. And they add energy, they add ideas, they add strategy. I mean, I was just this morning, I had an idea. Because we're not short of ideas and strategy. I mean, I'm always doing that, but right. So I came in this morning. I probably was thinking about this while I was sleeping. That's what entrepreneurs do. We solve problems while we're sleeping, right? So I come in this morning, and I had an idea, and I shared it with one of the team members here, and it was amazing how that idea got multiplied. And I think if that person wasn't here, that idea wouldn't have been multiplied. Maybe it would have, but not as fast.
Yeah.
And I am always looking for who. I'm always expanding that.
Where do you feel like people break down in the process? So let's say I'm like, okay, I'm open to this idea. Like, I'm going to go out and I'm going to find whether it's people to support me or people to hire. Where do people fall down in this process?
I think it starts there's several things, but the first place is the mindset. And I want to bring this up. This is a key point. Recently, as I've been visiting chapters and we've been talking about this, I hear this all the time. Well, and I can't think of a business example, but I do XYZ and I don't need to hire. And I know this is a challenging thought for a lot of people, but you don't have the business. You don't have a business. You have created a job that is solely requires you and you only.
Oof, that's a stiff drink.
It is. It's hard to hear, but that's the truth, right? So I start asking them, well, when can you go on vacation? What happens when you do? What happens when you get sick, right? It's all those questions.
Right.
But so many people have already decided in their mind they are never going to hire. And I think that that's just an absolute mistake. You could hire a part-time administrative person to help leverage those non-income producing activities. So I think it's mindset. I think that's where it starts.
I think, and just to piggyback on that too, I think that behind that is fear. Like the reason my mindset is I want to do it myself. I don't want to bring in a team. Because I've coached people around the country. The biggest reason they tell me for not wanting to bring people in is I don't want to manage people. And so the mindset is if I bring people in, I have a headache, or I have to babysit people, or I have to, like, your whole context for how you think of people is what needs to be shifted.
Yeah. So let me share one other thought on that. And this is going to be, talk about a stiff drink. This is going to be hard for people to hear. I think those who say, in my coaching and mentoring as well, the thing I've discovered is when people say to me that they don't want to manage people, it's because they don't like to be held accountable themselves. They actually struggle with it. So they know that they're not going to be able to work with other people well, and they've got to understand that discipline themselves. But that being said, I think often those fears are just our own. Like I messed this up tragically myself when I first hired somebody. I knew all my coaches and mentors were saying, hire somebody, hire somebody, hire somebody. So I did. I found somebody I liked. She did an excellent job. I actually went to a networking meeting, and the person in the group sold gift baskets, and she said, In a few weeks, it's Administrative Assistance Day, which I didn't even know that existed. I didn't know there was such a day, but there is. And so I ordered this gift basket, totally forgot about it. One day I wake up and I come in the office and I realize my job had now become giving this talented person something to do every day, because I wasn't creating systems and processes and so forth. So I'm like, I'm going to have to let you go, because this is turning into me managing your activities, not managing the business and giving you tasks to do. So I said, you're going to have to go. She was upset, of course, and I felt horrible. And then there was a knock at the door, and it was a person delivering the gift basket. It was Administrative Assistance Day, and I was letting her go. So listen, you guys, if you're listening to this,
wow,
you can't screw it up worse than that.
Yeah, right.
That was my start of hiring people. But wow. I got over those fears, and I learned the process, and I talk about that in 5+1, of creating tasks and processes for them to take you up. And then you focus on income producing activities.
I think if you're, I want to make sure, I want to get to the like some of the tangible, how do I find it? But I want to say first that I feel like if you can take money off of it, because that's where most of our scarcity comes from, is the conversation of money. If you can take money off the conversation for a minute and just let your brain or your mind, your vision go down the road and go in the best case scenario, what kind of a difference do I want? What kind of impact do I want? I think you would find that your vision is big enough that it would require infrastructure of people to help you put that into the world.
Chris, you're so right. And not only if you're looking down the road, you're getting visual about the type of people you want, which I think also scares us, because we know that it's going to require talented people. And then we think, oh my gosh, I'll make this statement. And this comes from one of my great mentors as well, who said this, and he runs a very, very successful company. And he said, one of the first challenges I had mentally in hiring people is that they might figure out I'm kind of a fraud. And what I mean by that is, I'm bringing people into my inner circle who see me as this iconic thing is for him. This is his words, right? As this iconic person, all of a sudden they see my flaws. And he said, I had to get over that. I had to bring these talented people into my world, because that's what helped lift the whole company. And so you're right. If you remove the financial fear, because even as I grow and expand, I'm almost never had the revenue to hire them before I hired them.
Interesting.
I keep thinking that I'm going to get to that place where I've got all the revenue to hire them and then I'll bring them in. It almost never happens that way.
Wow. Well, okay. So I've dealt with my mindset. I've let my vision go wild, and I'm like, okay, I really want to put my contribution out there into the world. Like, how do I start to tangibly find the right people?
So first you have to get clear on what you need. And so one of the things that I tell people to do is you get a sheet of paper. I talk about this in the book. You get a sheet of paper, you set an alarm every 15 minutes, it goes off, you write down what you're doing and the dollar associated with that task, meaning it would cost, I could pay somebody $10 an hour, $12 an hour to do that. And after 2 days of doing that, you'll have a job description. Everything that's not income producing, there's your job description. Then you put that out to the world. You describe that type of person to the world, and particularly to your network. This goes to the whole power of having a network. And let me just tell you quickly, I've hired 4 people in the last 3 months. 2 of those people came directly from my network. One came from another employee who's in a networking chapter with them, in a Master Networks chapter. The other came from a member of Master Networks, but then both of them brought the other people. They said, I love this opportunity, but I know somebody else that would be good at this too. I don't use job sites. I just don't. I go to my network because those are people I trust. They want to send me good people. And so I get the job description, I get the missing person report out, and then I interview because my network sends people to me.
I love the idea of not only having the job description, the tasks, the things that you would be asking them to do, but I also like the idea of having their human qualities.
Yes.
I think your network then knows they can immediately think. They may not know what the skill set is somebody has in their life, but they're like, oh, that person is exactly the characteristics you described. And
this is a great segue, because I know in the next episode, we're going to talk about one I think is one of the highest attributes that people will look for. And I just proved that in one of our last chapter meetings. But you're right. It's describing those characteristics and those attributes of what you're looking for. So when somebody reads that, they go, oh, I know that person.
Yes, that's it.
And then they send them to you, right? And that's so key.
Yeah, because if you just list out the tasks, they may not know what people do, and that's actually probably the task is only one thing you're looking for. It's only one part of what you're looking for. I think if you're really going to build a team building, you want to have a good culture. That may be for another time, but
No, I love it. Actually, I'm in the middle of writing my third book, and in there we talk about that it's attitude and skills, and the skill part is what can be taught. The attitude part, though, is different, and that is probably what we'll talk about in the next episode.
I love it. That's good. Well, that's a good segue, Chaz. Anything else you want to add to the end of this session, this episode?
Yeah, here's the last thought I would leave with this is you have fear about hiring. I get it. I always second guess, even after I know this is the right person. I make the offer. I still second guess. I second guess what it's going to cost, all of those things. Here's the point. Do it anyway.
Right.
If they're the right person, you need it, and you want to expand, I would rather go out of business expanding than contracting. So expand, do it. You need to.
I love it. So good. Chaz, people listening to this, they're not a member of Master Networks. How do they learn more about it, become part of a chapter, et cetera?
Yeah, you should become a part of Master Networks because we talk about this stuff week in and week out. You can find it online. But go to our website, masternetworks.com, search for a chapter. You can reach out to us through our phone number that's on the site or on there. If we don't have a chapter in your area, don't worry about that. Reach out to us. Tell us you're interested. We have virtual success coaches that will hold your hand, walk you down the path to launching your own successful networking group.
I love it. It's been really great for me. I'm glad I opened my own chapter just recently. It's been amazing. I highly recommend it. It's super good. So I love it. In the next episode, gang, those of you listening, we're talking about impact. I can't think of one person that doesn't want to have impact in the world. And that's what we're talking about in the next episode. Chaz, thanks for another great one. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Chris.